Hi everyone, welcome to the Back to Joy show. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing about the topic of loneliness. We'll be sharing with you what it means in terms of spirituality, as well as how can we access that deeper dimension within ourselves that can really help us know that ultimately there is a oneness, there is a connectedness within ourselves and also with life. So, welcome from being here. My name is Paul Raphael. I teach spirituality and I write books as well. And I also occasionally teach yoga. So, thank you for being here. And Sarah Love, take it away.
Hi, my name is Sarah Love, and I am a life coach and an angel intuitive. And I'm here to share the joy and the topics that we discuss each week. And I work with clients to help bring them closer to their spiritual guidance team so that they know that they're guided and always surrounded with unconditional love.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we again thank you for joining and love you for watching. So, Sarah, shall we start with a nice little meditation to ground the energy for all the participants?
Yeah, so I just want to do a basic meditation to connect us to Mother Earth and then also to the divine light above. So just go ahead and close our eyes and take a few deep breaths in your belly. And then just big inhales and exhales. And then feel the energy moving up through your neck and your head and out through your head to the divine light above, the shining star. And connect into that energy there. Feel the warmth, feel the light, feel the love, feel the joy and peace. And then have that energy come pouring down upon you, cleansing and clearing away any negativity, any blocks, any sadness, any sorrow. Feel that moving down your head, your torso, down through your legs, and then into your feet. And take this energy and have that root down into Mother Earth. Feeling that energy moving down, down, down. And into the core of Mother Earth, connecting in with her heart center. Feeling her unconditional love, light, and vibration. And then pull that energy into your heart. And then move that energy up, back into your body, into your feet, and through your legs, and then all the way up through your neck and head. Filling yourself with the energies of above and below, and moving in within your heart space, where you're always safe, you're always loved, you're always taken care of. And go ahead and breathe that energy in. And then open your eyes when ready.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful meditation. So we decided to touch upon the topic of loneliness for this episode because I've come across an article in the New York Times that basically explained that there was I'm just going to read it, that the US suicide rate surges to a 30-year high. So suicide in the US has surged to the highest levels in nearly 30 years, the federal data analysis has found, with increases in every age group except all the adults. Very interesting. And they say that the rise was particularly steep for women, and it was also substantial among middle-aged Americans, sending a signal of deep anguish from a group whose suicide rates had been stable or falling since the 1950s.
Wow.
And they explained that the suicide rate for middle-aged women ages 45 to 64 jumped by 63%, over the period of the study, while it was by 43% for men in that age range. The sharpest increase for males of any age, the sharpest one. And they said that the overall suicide rate rose by 24% from 1999 to 2014, according to the National Center for Health Statistics. So when I read that article, I really felt that somehow it was really telling of the state of despair that that many people feel in our societies. You know, that would be interesting to know about other countries. You know, I haven't really looked into it, but what I can say is that there is that part in many societies where the disconnect is huge, and in some part of the world maybe it's more prevalent than others, but ultimately there is really that sense of disconnect. So I personally know for myself from a very early age that I felt very lonely for many years until probably my early 30s, until my spiritual shift. And I share this really in detail in my book, Sacred Joy, Remembering Who You Really Are. And it was really that feeling somehow that was kind of always undercurrent. So it was not something that was very, I would say, it was probably more intense at times, but especially in the teenage years, like for many of us, I guess, especially for those that feel different, that being called weird. And that's a feeling that pretty much stick to the journey, I think, until in my early 30s, my spiritual shift. So how about you, Sarah? And before actually you answer this, I would like to make sure that we agree on the definition of loneliness. Because, you know, if you look into the dictionary, loneliness means that it is sadness that one experiences because of no companionship or friends, because that because they're alone or they don't have any friends, and due to that they're feeling sad. So that is the general definition of loneliness. And I would say I have a different definition in terms of spirituality. But how about you, Sarah? What is what has been your experience with loneliness?
Yeah, that is loneliness is definitely feels like a lifelong lesson that I've had. I've never really had like a lot of friends growing up, and something that I internally knew where it's just like I'm alone, you know, in each thing that I'm doing. Then as I started getting more into like the spirituality and learning new things there, I felt even more alone because I was labeled as like weird, and no one really understood me. So I just kind of kept putting more barriers around myself so I wouldn't be heard, so that I can just kind of live in my own bubble and, you know, my own safety. But it was also very lonely. So, you know, doing the spiritual work, and I was like an internal monk in a way, where learning all the techniques and, you know, and that alone is okay. And which it's, you know, one thing you can read these things and feel that, but then at the same time, there's that achiness where it's like, I want to connect with someone. I want to be with someone who understands me. So it's like, you can understand a lot of these philosophies and, you know, the Eastern religions, but ultimately it's like, I wanted to connect, you know? So as I got older, it was kind of like, all right, turn off spirituality and open up, you know, partying and connecting with other people and in other ways, which eventually kind of tore down. And around my 30s too, that's where it started, like, all right, awakening. The real me and finding my soul tribe. So
yes, definitely. And I would say that yes, everything you mentioned really to me epitomizes I think the journey that we as human beings, you know, undergo through, which is feeling, experiencing a sense of disconnectedness. I feel, with others, and ultimately there's a sense of disconnectedness with ourself, or what I call our joy essence. And at first, it's I would say that it is really ultimately what we all yearn for, I feel, is to be who we are, to be the fullest of who we are. And to me, that is really to remember who we really are, to remember that sparkle of joy, of light, that sparkle of really celebrating life. Because I feel that's why we're here for. We're here to celebrate life, and to celebrate our expansion, to celebrate the growth that we undergo through in our journey here. And the issue is that we are being taught, I think, from very early age, that you didn't come here to celebrate life, you came here to work.
You slave.
Yeah, you came here to conform. You came here to adjust. You came here to fit in. And the fallacy is to basically make humans believe that, if you want to belong, if you want to be loved, that's what you have to do. You have to conform to the rules. You have to adhere to the norms and abide by what is collectively, socially, acceptable. And that, I think, over a period of time, really disconnect us from who we really are. And that really create that sadness within us. And a lot of time we run away from that sadness. Mm-hmm. We run away from that loneliness by all kind of way, form, and shapes. And it can be, and that's pretty much when we fall into addiction. Because we will look for the perfect job, we will look for the perfect even partner, we will look for the perfect circle of friends, we will look for what we think the perfect circle of friends is. We will look for all those external things that can help us either fill the void of loneliness, of disconnectedness, or run away from it, Right. And that's what you expressed earlier, that that at some point, you're kind of like, enough of spirituality. Because it feels lonely, and I want to party. I want to party. I want to have fun. And ultimately, it is true. It is true that we want to have fun. However, the fun that we are truly, genuinely seeking for is the fun, the joy of being who we are.
Right. Yeah. I remember, because I would be, out partying, and I wouldn't really drink as much. And I remember just standing there looking at everybody, and I was like, is this really fun? And I felt still empty inside. And I feel like that's why we, most people maybe drink even. Because it's just like, I feel empty, let's, blanket that up, and then you kind of lose who you are. And that's where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore,
Yeah.
And that's where, I think that's hard for a lot of people, where they have to get out of, conforming and really facing who they are. And, it seems kind of scary, where it's just easier to, party hard on the weekend, to go to work during the week, and, repeat that cycle. So it's just kind of pulling yourself out of that, or those wake-up calls that we'll receive too, to push us along.
Absolutely, and they're kind of like, they're all sort of, illusory kind of, escapades, illusory and temporary escapades, because, so many listeners and people, joining the call know that, after the high, there is a low. And, after those binge drinking you're going to do, after those, those serial datings, or whatever you're basically, obsessively look for, or or really tempting to, to fill that void with of those external things, because that drinking or that partying is something that that somehow it's very temporary. It's kind of like a distraction. It's help you to believe for a while that you're connecting with people and that you're having fun, and because others are drinking or others are doing drugs or whatever, there's a sense of belonging, a sense of community. And although deep down inside, there's that little nagging kind of voice that tells you, no, baby, that's not it.
Not it.
and that's
a big red flag.
Exactly. And that's the part where for many of us it's very disconcerting, because we don't even, it's kind of feel even more depressing, because you're like, wow, I that's not even that, so what is it? You know what I mean? And because you're kind of lost, you want to numb that feeling even more, and that's truly somehow, I feel, that feeling of depression that is there, that is lurking. And that explains as well, why so many, more people, people commit suicide, and in this day and age where there's such a, interestingly enough, like this huge access to communication, to medias, to being able to interact with one another, it seems and feels that, people feel very alone. People feel very lonely, and I would personally, I have my view on that. But what would you say, Sarah, is the reason why people feel so lonely, and especially nowadays? What would you say? What would your spirit team, your spirit guidance team, say on that topic?
Well, I just find it interesting, the age range, and then also it being for women too, because it seems, we're used to kind of a younger group, being picked on, maybe bullied in school, but then to have an older group of, women being, feeling loneliness and, attempting suicide and following through with that, it feels like all that technology, are they not connected, to that? Because they're not, like my mom doesn't really understand the technology and, or Facebook, and she feels like it's just a competition to get friends. And so it's like, it really can build up with that age group too, where it's like, they don't really understand this. And then everyone else is connecting everywhere else, where it makes them even feel more alone. So I think that's something to even look at, and not necessarily that they have to get on the technology, but where are we really even missing out when, we're not connecting to, our moms and our, our ancestors, in a sense that we can really help them out more. Where are you? How are you? And really that interaction face to face, where we're on our Facebook or Instagram and on the internet, So I think that's something to kind of consider, and an overall thing where we really have lost connection. I don't think I talk to people on the phone very much. It's all text, and and I think even this right here is nice because I can see you and talk with you on the Zoom account, but it is something that's slowly kind of coming around, and a lot of people are doing programs where they're recorded and you don't get that interaction. You're just watching videos, so it's kind of the same thing. So
yes, absolutely. You're so yes. You're so right. And the feeling that I have is I would say that women typically are more naturally open with their heart and connected to their heart and their feelings. And one of the reasons why that could explain, that surge of suicide is also because they are very empathic and probably feeling really the distress and despair of so many people around them, and also of humanity, as a whole. And maybe for some of them, it's like it's too much to bear. And it's
Right.
like what you said earlier, that that for some, with especially with that technology and with that competition, competitiveness, where like people are, it's like you are basically worth the amount of sort of number of friends you have in your Facebook account.
Right.
You're worth, I mean, now it's before it was really the money, but now it seems like it's not only the money, it also has to be the fame. It's like, how famous are you? How many people know you?
Right. Yeah.
Right? And we can see it, all of us can see it so clearly in the media, how like that family of the Kardashians, who's usually popular, and
Right.
and all the family members will tell you that they're only interested in one thing, which is fame. Their only reason why they are known is because they wanted to be famous, right? And I mean, it's like the what got Kim Kardashian where she is because she basically released a sex tape, that got people talking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so and they kind of thrived on that on that popularity and on doing those reality shows and so forth, So same thing with the U.S. election. I mean, how come someone like well, yes, I'm going to mention the name, Donald Trump, is where he's at, and if it's not about that sort of that sort of race for fame, I mean, like all that yeah, exactly, so there is really I feel a sense, I mean, loneliness for me, I would say, spiritually speaking, is a sense of disconnectedness with who we really are. It's a sense of disconnectedness with our uniqueness, with our spontaneous and built-in impulse to celebrate life, basically. And that impulse that we all get from, I think, when we were born here, is basically slowly dimmed, throughout the years, because we are being told that who we are is not acceptable, or who we are needs to be changed, or who we are is a body that is that is not suitable to the dictates of what society consider a nice or attractive body is, or that would be especially for women, who basically typically for many centuries women have been raised for the attention of men. They've been raised for the idea that, okay, they have to look pretty in order to get married, because that's how they will get security and safety. For men, it's a different story. For men, it's been like men have been raised to be competitors, to compete with one another. And there's been really that sort of very aggressive, overbearing masculine energy that has dominated the planet for like many centuries. And now there is really that sense where we've stretched and we've been the furthest we could to that aggressive masculine energy. And the US election for me is a perfect illustration of that, with Donald Trump, who truly symbolizes, that very, like that old consciousness, that old,
very old. Where what are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like arrogance, aggressiveness, competition. We putting down people, yes, and that the other spectrum, the other side of the spectrum, of course, not only in the US. I mean, for me, that all aggressive masculine energy is also symbolized by terrorism. By those sort of like commandos, that still want to terrorize the world, and terrorize people through fear, and they want to keep using those chains of fear, to hold people in fear. And the world now is waking up more and more, and people are saying no more. We don't want to be led by fear. you know. And the same thing happens as well also in the US, you know, where, you know, like there is really, you can really see that polarization, you know, between people who somehow feel that, you know, Trump, because Donald Trump is seemingly speaking his truth, that you know, he's real. You know, that you know, I think people somehow feel that connection with him because somehow, you know, he's kind of like a rebel. He's kind of like anti-establishment, and many people, you know, also have that feeling within themselves. You know, but unfortunately, they confuse that feeling of freedom that they want with being a rebel. You know, I think they got this confusion going on, you know, within themselves. And personally, I would say that in my own experience, from my own spiritual transformation, before I could truly awaken my joy essence, I needed to bring awareness to all my emotions, and a big chunk of the emotional spectrum was sadness and loneliness. And it really was a process where I needed to first of all bring awareness to it, and by noticing that indeed there is loneliness and sadness, and that's critical. I think that's really pivotal for anyone who is watching, that before you can truly, I would say, start to celebrate life and start to reignite that, rekindle that sparkle of aliveness, that sparkle of wanting to be here and wanting to celebrate life, we first need to be fully aware and also authentic with the sadness, with the emotion of loneliness, and whenever it is there, we need to really embrace it and accept it like a small child, because ultimately all those deep emotions have really that energy of wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, and wanting to be nurtured. And it's like that loneliness, that sadness is like a little child that keeps asking for your attention. And it's almost like that inner child that was there when you were the first year of our life, that wanted to show its uniqueness, that wanted to show its impetus for life and its own way of looking at life. And that was gradually told that it is not okay. It is not okay to be who you are, so you have to conform. You're weird. You're a weirdo. Stop that. Right. You know, so those are really, that loneliness is really the little child within us that wants to ask us, that wants to reconnect with that essence, that sparkle, which ultimately is joy. So that's really pivotal. I would say the first step is first to be present with that loneliness, without meaning to not judge it, to not label it bad, to simply be with it. The second step is to really allow authentically the loneliness to be. And that means that there will be times when you're just going to be on your own. You're going to feel lonely and sad, and simply be with that emotion. And it's hard at times. However, that is really the only way you can hear what that emotion of sadness has to tell you, because it holds a message. It really holds a message. And the message is, is come back home. Come back to your joy essence. Come back to who you really are. Come back to that sparkle of joy that is there, that has always been there. And it's waiting for you to basically hear again, you know, what is it that you truly want in life? What is your highest joy? What is your dream? What do you how would you want to to explore, the journey, with what kind of friends, what kind of people would you like to be spending the journey? What really sparkle your interest? And that's really, for me, the message behind the loneliness. And in that sense, that is why I would say that it is a portal, it is a gateway, it is like a doorway to really, that really asks you, okay, wake up, come back home, and home is within. And that home is, it's, of course, for all of us is different. For me, it was really that need of teaching spirituality, that need of immersing myself in with what I call spirituality, and yet spirituality for me is life. Spirituality is everything. Spirituality is really celebrating and dancing with life, and with every single part of it, including our sadness, including our loneliness, including all those emotions that we call bad, which ultimately are part of our humanness, because it is normal to feel lonely, in this world. It is, you can't get past it. And for all those people that believe that they don't feel lonely, or I would say they don't experience sadness, because ultimately there is really those two notions really intertwined. Again, if we go back to the definition of loneliness, what is loneliness? Loneliness is to experience sadness because we feel that we don't have any companionship or friends. That sadness really is a feeling that is normal to feel when we are human, and it is part of the curriculum. So how about you, Sarah? What would you like to say on that?
Because I really love that, how you said to incorporate. I feel like loneliness is almost, in a sense, a teacher,
Yes.
And so as you face those feelings that you have, it really does help you find who your soul really is and who you really are, and then to shine that. I think we talked on the last call how, me connecting with my guardian angels and knowing I had a group of people on the other side that were taking care of me, were guiding me, were giving me signs, and probably napping most of my life, but they were there. It's just something where that feeling where, we do feel so alone in this world, where that moment, it's like, I've never, ever been alone. And, we're always supported and guided and with someone to have us, take this step, and we love you and unconditionally. And there would be moments where I would just connect in my heart and just feel like, fill me with love, because I feel like crap. I feel sad, I feel alone, and I just don't know if I can make it through this. And it's just like that energy would just like fill me. And I feel like that, facing those moments and those tears and those sadness, it's heavy, but at the same time, it's like when you have that team to like push me through this, it really supports you. So I agree that spirituality and taking that energy in instead of pushing it down or covering it up with, drugs or alcohol or any of that, it doesn't make it go away. It just comes back up bigger,
Yes, exactly. It's just numb. It's just numb the feeling. It's like it temporarily help you or not feel it, basically, and it feels like it gives you like a relief, but actually what it does, it's almost like it's intensifying the feeling, because when you basically temporarily don't feel that feeling, it's like it kind of gives you the hope, like, oh my God, I want to stay there. I want to stay in that zone, where I don't feel. But then, you ultimately, that numbness or that the experience of sadness will come back again once the effect of whatever substances or activity, are gone. you know. So because
Yeah.
you can't be
I
an,
felt it even stronger in a sense,
yeah,
you know, I wake
yeah,
up the next day and it's like, oh
exactly.
my God, I feel worse, you know,
Yes,
not
yes.
only because, you know, hungover, but it's like all those emotions, I feel like they just bounced up and I'm
Bounced
like,
up,
oh,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
I felt
no.
more consistent as I just stayed home and just kind of took care of my stuff as it came in, let
Hmm.
go, came in, let go,
Yes,
and really
yes,
bringing in more of that energy. But I
exactly.
think that, I mean, it's interesting with the more of the feminine energy in, and with the older, you know, generation. Do you think maybe it's as that, you know, feminine energy of having to feel your emotions comes in more, and they're not necessarily used to it? Is it, and like you said, it's like they feel stuff so much stronger that maybe it's like that feminine energy coming in. It's almost like here's all your emotions in front of you.
Yes, yes. What I feel is that there is um, you know, and I touch upon this in my book, is like those, there's like, we all of us have those three aspects within us. We have
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, divine feminine, you know, or what I call, you know, the awareness, allowing awareness principle, or the sacred allowing.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also that divine masculine, or sacred yang, and that I call, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like the grounding awareness, you know, being grounded, being present, you know, in the moment. And the third aspect is that sense of honoring, that sense of celebration, you know, that is really important as well. So I feel that for women, they basically um, they somehow feel the intensity of those feelings so strongly that
Mm-hmm.
it can be kind of like overwhelming for them, and
Yeah.
they somehow, you know, don't have enough of grounded awareness to come back to the moment, to come back to, you know, the center of themselves, to simply observe those emotions, be with those emotions without judging, without identifying those emotions, and without getting lost in them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that's why, you know, sometimes when you know, especially probably, you know, in PMS time, you know, where women feel like that's very collective pain of the feminine principle, who has been under so much subjugation and violence and you know, and really, you know, that subordination, you know, to men for so many centuries, that when they feel that huge collective body of pain, you know, through their menstruation cycle, you know, it's really also that to me that illustration of the that emotional body that women can feel so strongly, you know. and it,
Mm-hmm.
and yet, you know, it is a huge portal to, you know, our core essence, you know, our joy essence, because joy is really also, you know, is that feeling of intensity in terms of aliveness, you know. And so it is really important that I feel for women to develop, you know, that quality of what I call, you know, the sacred yang, that quality of really, you know, grounding your awareness to, you know, the present moment, grounding your, you know, your presence, you know, within yourself, so that you can remain open and empathic. You can connect with others. You can have an open heart, and yet it's almost like you have that night within yourself, that focus and presence within yourself, that can help you to guard your, you know, your light. And
Yeah.
somehow, you know, it's almost like a night that will basically, you know, let you know, okay, when you're sort of like, when emotions, because a lot of times it's like it's our emotion, but we also feel so much, you know, the pain of other people, you know, the collective pain, you know, that is so strong, you know. And especially, and for those women who are very empathic, who are very open, you know, it's like, it's sometimes can be like too overwhelming. It's too much to bear, and they cannot dissociate themselves from that collective pain by staying really present within their own energy field. And that's something that somehow, maybe men for men it's more natural to be aloof, to kind of, not go into the emotion part, to kind of like sort of like stay in their own little world, their own little bubble, you know what I mean? Yeah. And yet there is also suffering there because they're not connected, or for them it's hard to connect to their heart. It's hard to really feel, and all of us need to feel, and we also need to stay present and grounded. And be
not floating in the sky,
So it feels like it's very, very helping when you can remember that staying in your own energy field by being present, and for me, I there's like 3 aspects to it. I would say that first is to sort of like really observe your inner state, from a standpoint of neutrality, feeling very neutral. And it's also about being, keep it here, being present, because when you keep your focus in the present moment, there are rarely issues or problems, I mean, there can be challenges, but that's another thing. But typically, there are rarely, any problem. And the thing is, like, when you're being drawn in the emotions of the drama, a lot of time it's because you're thinking of it's thoughts. It's that movement of thoughts that is transferred into movement of energy in your body. And I feel that, when you dissociate the two, you can see, when you focus, you can simply feel, okay, I feel that big burden in my chest. For me, it's like I'm very sensitive with that. And whenever I feel like a sort of heavy collective energy field, I feel it in my heart. I feel like, it's almost like I feel like there's like a stone here in my sternum. It's like boom, and I'm like, okay. What is going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Yay.
Or if I'm with someone or some people, sometimes I feel it. I just feel it in my heart. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
and the thing is, like, instead of kind of going into the drama of like, oh my God, why am I feeling this? I shouldn't be feeling this. This is bad. What's,
right, and labeling it.
Simply be present with it. Okay, this is what I feel. And there's no need to judge it. There's no need to call it good or bad. It is just a contraction. It is a contraction of energy. That's all it is, because it's very important to know there is no such a thing as good or bad energy. Energy is. There is simply different vibration levels of energy. Some are more dense than others. Some are more contracted than others. But it's still energy. It is still energy, which has different level of vibration. That's all. Some vibrate very low. That is a dense energy, and some vibrate very, very high. It's still energy. So, but back to those women. Yes, I would say that. Yes, it's really that. I think that inability to really cultivate that sense of grounded awareness. To really ground your awareness. By being present, by being focused, and also by discerning. Which is a third part. It's almost like what I call the sword of awareness, the sword of light. It's like whenever you feel those chords, it's like cut. It's like it's like this. Yeah, exactly. Those chords trying, because ultimately those chords are, I think they're kind of like it's I think in a lot of time people do that even subconsciously. It's not even aware of this. Like when you meet people, sometimes they feel, or they can see like some sort of light shining from you, or some sort of energy, and they're like, oh my God, I need that in my life. I miss that, and subconsciously they're kind of like they're sort of like connecting their chords energetically to you, However, that can only happen if you yourself, you allow that to happen.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
And don't do the
exactly, you know, and yeah, and so, you know, so that's really for me one perspective on it, you know, one way of looking at it. You know, of course, you know, this is like everything we're sharing on the show, we're sharing our own perspective on you know, on what we know to be true. You know, this is not the absolute truth, but you know, this is only, you know, one perspective, one way, you know, to look at it. And I would say that again, it's when we can activate, you know, that state of grounded awareness and that state of allowing being, because it's not also about cutting yourself off from others, you know, and other people, and many people also do that because they feel like, you know, it's like they you know, it was a numbness that we mentioned earlier, but also that feeling of, you know, I don't want to deal with the world, or I want to disconnect myself from the world, you know, and that's not the solution either, you know, because we're all in this together, we're all connected, all of us are connected, and to me the way to dance with life, the way to celebrate life is really to activate those three states, you know, of grounding, being present with what is going on by not losing yourself in all that swirl of emotion, you know, that swirl of drama, you know, stay present, stay grounded, stay focused, cultivate that sense of noticing your inner state. Observe simply your emotions. You know, they are not good, they're not bad, they're simply movement of energy. Emotions is what is E, the letter E, which means energy, and motions, which is movement. So it's simply energy in movement, and that energy in movement basically is for many of us is dense, it's heavy. You know? It's like,
especially after so many years. Yeah,
you know, it's like it's anger.
Rain clouds for a while.
You know, it's anger, it's frustration, it's bitterness. You know, so many people, you know, hold bitterness in their heart because of crushed dreams, because of resentment, because of, you know, of not being where they want to be, because of, you know, not having the relationship they thought they would have, of not having the job they thought they should have by now, or having the life they should have by now. You know, all those. Yes, it's bitterness, and that is really that. Anger, frustration. Yes, you know, and that is that create those walls. Those walls around your heart, those walls around, you know, that sense of connectedness with your joy, with life, and with really that ability to dance with life. Because again, for me, it's like we're here to dance with life. We're here to dance with our humanness, our ego. You know, and,
I think that's where a lot of the you know, especially if we're looking at that age group, or even, you know, people in our group and younger, it's just that, you know, embracing that uniqueness, you know, and being raised, especially the older generation, in that masculine world too, you know, where that's like, get up, go to work, and I just, you know, stuff all my feelings down. And so when they're facing it, I think it seems almost overwhelming and they don't want to deal with it. So it's like pushing back down, but they keep popping back up. But really letting them know it's okay to embrace that, you know, your uniqueness and yourself and your emotions, and like, you know, the energy and motion, and learning these techniques, and really knowing it's okay, you know, and it isn't woo-woo or anything like that. It's normal. And I think it's just a change, a shift, and embracing that energy as it comes forward as a good thing, and not necessarily, you know, good or bad, but that it is good for your soul to do that.
Yes, I think that, you know, when you, I think, because to me it's like our natural state of being is joy. Our natural state of beingness is really that, that feeling of expansion, that feeling of growth, that feeling of adventure, of exploring, of curiosity.
Right.
I think, isn't that the greatest feeling when you can, I don't know, when you can travel, when you can go to nature or somewhere you've never been to, and you're like, oh my God, you look kind of like all those different landscapes or whatnot. It's the greatest feeling, that sort of, like venturing, out. And yet, in the same time, many of us, feel fear of the unknown, because we're being taught from a young age, curiosity kills a cat. Like, don't venture too far, It's dangerous.
I always said the cat has 9 lives, so just go for it. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
I'm going to keep being curious. So, yeah.
That's exactly.
I got told that one. Yeah.
So it's like 6 minutes to the hour. So would you like to pick a card?
Yes, actually I forgot. Do you want to pull from the Raphael deck that you have? Or do you want me to?
Sure, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
The healing deck, that'll be good.
Yeah, exactly. So oh, okay. So the card I got is exercise is key.
Ah, very good. I like that.
So that's interesting.
It reminds me of like how you said it's, with life and, and their emotions and everything too. It's that mood, that energy is flowing, and that is helpful. One with exercise in the physical form, but also an exercise, dance with your
exactly
inner self, your emotion.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and one of, I've mentioned already, a couple of, I would say approaches, to deal with loneliness and sadness. But one I do myself and I really love is that, is really to, whenever you feel that sadness, go and buy yourself a wig. And whenever you can, or you don't even need a wig, but something funny, something that can bring you a smile on your face, and just put some music and dance, And to me, it's like, dancing is, the dance really symbolizes, why we are here, truly, because in order to dance, you don't dance to accomplish something. You do not dance to get somewhere. You dance simply for the joy of dancing, the joy of movement. And that is for me so simple and yet so healing, because, you can really feel your body again, be in your body again. And even if you can't move a lot, you can still move the neck, or the fingers.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like, I can't dance. It's like, doesn't matter. Everyone can dance.
Yeah, and just feel, just listen to the music and feel the body. All that's needed. And even if you stand still, that's a still dance.
Little shimmy. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, so it's 3 minutes to the hour. So, we're gonna close with a little meditation. So, and I will invite you, if you're not driving, of course, or if you're not doing anything, anything that requires, for you to be focused, you can simply sit relaxed and close your eyes. And again, feel your 2 feet planted into the ground. And I would love for you to maybe have your hands palm facing down, touching your knees, so you can really feel the contact, your hands resting on your knees or on your lap. And I would like for you to gently shake the shoulders. just very gently, very softly. Start with the shoulders. And then gently shake the head and the shoulders together, and the neck as well. And then gradually start moving your torso, your chest. And imagine that all the cells of your body are saying, yes, yes. Let's celebrate life. Yes. Finally, we're free. We're here celebrating life, celebrating the life that we are. And gradually come to a still point where you feel completely still. And simply feel the energy of the body. Taking a deep breath. And if you can, keep the mouth closed and simply inhale and exhale through the nose. A deep inhale and deep exhale. I would like for you to repeat after me the following mantra. I am, I am, I am.
I am, I am, I am.
Honoring my beautiful delicious body. And so it is.
And so it is.
All right. So thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. Oh, yes, it was really a pleasure. A great, great pleasure to be with you all. And thank you, Sarah.
Yes,
thank you for the beautiful
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Wonderful to connect.
Yes. And we see you next week for the Back to Your show. Thank you. Bye now. Bye-bye. Bye.